Shooting it raw?
Yes. Shooting it raw. It's a diptych, and on the left it says Israeli combat vest, and it's like a model, I guess, wearing what looks like a combat vest. So it's like the person's wearing a black t-shirt, and around it is like the fatigue camo, whatever. It's got some plates, like protective plates. It's got a belt with protective belts. Wearing pants with like camouflage pants. And on the right, there's a image that says Hamas combat vest. And it's a person wearing one of those, it looks like a baby Bjorn, I guess, but it's a baby wearing Hamas, sort of the green and white headdress. And it's a baby, just sort of strapped to the front of this, in camo, it's a camouflage sort of baby. Okay, Sheila, where are you taking me with this image?
Okay, this photo is basically, I'll try and end on an optimistic, like you said, we want to be optimistic. It's difficult to be optimistic though at this moment.
For sure.
I'm trying. But for example, they use, again, a lot of especially in America, we've seen it in the academic circles, all these ignorant people. They keep blaming us, but the blame is, free Palestine from Hamas, not free Palestine from, what is it they say? They're using their people. They're using the people. We just went into now, our soldiers just went into the hospitals. I'm in shock. Sorry. I'm in shock. They found, they took the hostages to the hospital. This is a hospital. The hospital, according to international law, we don't, for example, I can tell you, they say about Israel's being so, they're bombarding, and we don't drop bombs. Do you know how many pilots I know, personal friends of mine who are pilots, that they go in and they come back out and they don't drop nada, because they don't want to endanger children. But what are the Hamas doing? Instead of taking care of their kids, they are endangering their lives by using their private houses to store weapons, to use their private houses they use them as shields. That's what that photo is all about. It's a kid being used as a shield. Not to mention that they've gotten billions of dollars of Hamas. And this money, unfortunately and sadly, instead of going to build the city, they could have built a beautiful place there. They got gas at the beach. It's beautiful. Yeah. They could have made Paris of the Middle East. We'd love to have good relations, but instead of using the pipes for water, they use them for rockets. Instead of using the oils for the hospitals, they used it. So they are punishing their own. That's what people need to understand abroad. And again, I am really adamant about it now because I'm so convinced after October 7th. I did look back. I questioned myself the whole time up until October the 7th. But today I understand I was wrong. I was really one of the first people to come and, say no to Israel. And, we need to do things otherwise. We are stronger. We're the strong ones. We're we should direct things differently. But that is not the case. And I understand it more than ever now. And so when I saw a kid, this poor innocent baby, Palestinian baby, it's not Israel's fault. We do everything in our power. I really think it's crazy to say a moral army because warfare is a lose-lose situation. Yeah. But they are using babies as shields. They're using hospitals. Sure. So this is what I want people to understand. I really, today, Golda Meir, our Prime Minister, she said if they put down their arms, there will be peace. If we put down our arms, there will be okay. And I never accepted that. I said, absolute crap. Today, I really feel that is the truth. And again, it's not the average Palestinian. I'm sure there are a lot of great Palestinians. I know a lot, I know some Palestinians. But again, I'm not hearing their voice. I'm not hearing their voice.
Well, that's one of the things that I find, and I understand that there is a culture of intimidation and fear. And okay, so you grew up in Hong Kong, right? Yes. Now imagine for most Hong Kong, like I've lived in Hong Kong for 20 years. Nice to meet you, leho leho. Yeah. And before that, I lived in Montreal, right? Right. Now Montreal happens to have like when I was in university and there were like sort of anti-Israel demonstrations or whatever, there was always this undertone of violence and intimidation. And it was really kind of like, it was like a really toxic gathering. Mm. Like I once went to this protest, like it was like funny, like this anti-fascist protest because of against the police or police brutality or something like that. And the anti-fascists were dressed like neo-Nazis, which to me was just like, so you're shaving your head, you're wearing the black combat boots, and you're like, you've got like this real fascist sort of energy. Right. And so that was my experience in Montreal. And then I see these demonstrations. They're not exactly, in terms of the energy, in terms of the vibe.
Are you talking about the demonstrations around the world?
That's the thing, is that it feels like the line between like demonstrations against Israeli brutality attracts, and those demonstrations really feel fascistic to me in a way that when you see like a pro-Israel demonstration, people are dancing and singing, and it's a very different energy.
Such a different energy.
That's also hard to reconcile.
It really is. Listen, I'll give you an example. Something I saw, which I found absolutely hysterical, where I saw these, kids with these signs saying "gays for Palestine," and underneath it said "chickens for KFC." Okay, for conflict. Right. Okay, same thing. It's absolute ignorance. Ignorance is the root of evil, and I always say, go get an education. And also, we need to face up to it that there is, I think we've gone so. What I've realized today as well, all these progressive left-wing, liberals, over-liberal. I mean, I'm a liberal. But listen, we need to look at things as they are. And we need to, and there are facts. And I think a lot of the problem is also the social media today, where it's just so much, there's no way of knowing what the true facts are. I saw someone interviewing these kids that are demonstrating. And they said to him, okay, would you like to sign a petition for Hamas? Yeah, sure. Okay. So are you for raping women? Or are you for beheading? Are you for whatever? Are you for, okay. So they don't even, what is apartheid? Is there apartheid in Israel? They're saying apartheid is apartheid. What are you talking about, apartheid?
Sure.
One of our Supreme Court, high judges is an Arab. We have, they're in our hospitals, they're doctors, nurses. It might not be perfect, but it's definitely.
Okay. So we've got this issue here where you and I are having a conversation about, and the problem is that there's so many, I don't think it's a question of facts. I don't think there's a lack of information. I don't think that's the issue. So it's always like, well, what's going on underneath that? So what is it that's really going on underneath that? And that I think, I don't know. Can we answer it in this podcast? It's not, I don't think it's a lack of information. I think fundamentally it's just prejudice. And how do you kind of dismantle that prejudice?
I think it's prejudice and it's ignorance. I think a lot of these kiddos, there's mainly, if they did the statistics show that basically it's mainly the young age, 20s, 30s, the older generation, my age, like in 50s, 60s, that don't feel the same way. I think they're probably more well-read. That's what I always say to my students as well. I'm an English teacher. So I say, they don't read books anymore. They get a lot of them, and they're amazing. They really are amazing, smart kids. But they need to go into more depth. Again, and the feeling and what you're saying about this racism and prejudice, I don't know where that comes from. I was myself very naive. I didn't believe it existed until I saw what's going on now. Right. I've never had to face it. Everywhere I go, refer me anywhere in the world, I never feel it. I never feel anything. I've never, except for one time in Hong Kong when I was a kid. So someone told me how fabulous it was to shoot all the Jews in the back of the neck or something. But other than that, really, I've felt everywhere you throw me, I felt right at home, but it exists. I don't know why it exists. Sure. Different reasons, I think.
This is one of the tougher conversations from because I'm trying to approach it through the lens of the podcast, which is like life is a gift, which is, how do you make every second count, which is fundamentally to me an Israeli value, right?
Right.
So here's the thing, like, what is one of the biggest things about Israel when you go around there is a culture of life, right? Am Yisrael Chai, like the land of Israel is to live, is alive, it's about life. And contrasted to that is a culture of death. I mean, basically jihadists, right? So it's not, sure, it's not all Muslims, but it is jihadists. And where are the Muslims to talk about how insane these jihadists are?
Right. Again, it begins and ends with education. Like I said, I believe people are good at their base for the most part, but I think it starts and ends with education, and
Sure.
it needs to be, I think the people around the world and the same people that are protesting now, they're going against, the tide of optimism and the tide of love
Right.
and life.
And pluralism and...
Pluralism. They're just doing harm, instead of, I think we need to project light onto those that have things in common, and those of us who want to live, and life is short, no matter if you're a Muslim or a Jew or a Christian. And I think that's where we need to put our focus, try and find more people like ourselves and spread that love.
Okay, so as you're saying this, I've got Israeli combat vest and Hamas combat vest looking at me, and I have to go on to the next photo.
Okay.
Sheila, this is okay. Listen, this is important. This is good. This is important.
Okay.
So, is life really a gift? Really? Can you make every second count? That's the whole point of the podcast. So, if you like what you've seen and you're inspired, because that really is my mission, then please give it a like, subscribe, and share.
Shooting it raw?
Yes, shooting it raw.